Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 9 of Play by Play, the daily wrestling podcast with me, Atif Nawaz, and with me, as always, to discuss everything that's happening in the world of pro wrestling, wrestling entertainment, sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it, is Arman Kirmani. How's it going?
Episode 9, and I don't have any swig, so I'm going to get this cookie in front of me, and it's a swig of this cookie for the work event.
Okay, swig of a cookie. I don't know how you're going to do that, but yeah, well done you. Let's start the show once again by thanking our wonderful partner, eWrestling News. You can find all of our podcasts on eWrestling News. It's a wonderful news site on the internet, eWrestlingNews.com, so check them out. They've got the latest breaking stories, loads of contributors. Anybody can contribute, so we really, really like that.
And you can comment, argue, agree with us, disagree with us. You better not disagree with me. You can disagree with Atif. And yes, let's get on with it.
Yes, indeed. We've got a heck of a show for you to finish off the week today. We're going to be talking about Smackdown, specifically the debut on Thursday night for Smackdown. It was a loaded show. It was a fantastic show. It was so good that we think that Smackdown might now even be better than Raw. So we're going to be talking about Smackdown. Is Smackdown now better than Monday Night Raw? We're also going to be talking about some of the finishing moves in modern wrestling. Now, one of the highlights of the New Japan Pro Wrestling pay-per-view, Wrestle Kingdom 9, was that they had some exquisite finishing moves, some really different stuff out there. But we think in WWE, at least, there's some very samey moves going on, especially the punching. And we're going to be talking about how legal and illegal that is. Plus, we're going to be talking about the Divas division in the UK and a little bit of the knockouts in TNA as well. So let's start at the very top, Arman. Thursday night, Smackdown. What did you make of the show?
Well, firstly, I think Thursday is the right night to have the wrestling show on. I never quite liked the whole Friday night marketing, and Friday night is not a wrestling night.
No,
Friday night is a night where we have to rest and go out and social.
See, I don't know if you. I mean, I'm a little bit older than you, so I remember a time when wrestling in the UK was only on Fridays.
Yeah, but that was late night, and that's when we were kids, when you're not even allowed out. But for us, now that we're slightly older, and we don't need to ask our mummy's permission to go out.
Well,
I know some of us don't. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad. Firstly, that's on a Thursday night. And that also gives us something to talk about Friday in the office. So that's how good it is.
It's perfect.
I mean, you can't be talking about Smackdown on Monday, which is what you have to do when you get back to work, right? So it gives you good work.
Yeah, I mean, there's too much other stuff happening on Friday, over the weekend. So it's a win-win, really, in terms of timing.
Yeah.
Now, it was the debut show on Thursday, so they loaded it up. They had the big match advertised on Monday Night Raw, Daniel Bryan versus Kane, which evolved into a 6-man tag on the show featuring all the big boys. Seth Rollins is involved, Big Show is involved, of course, Roman Reigns is involved, and Dean Ambrose is involved as well. Plus, you had the rematch between Wade Barrett and Sin Cara, an interesting mixed tag thing with The Miz, Damien Mizdow, Alicia Fox, and Usos.
Do you know what I think is helping the show?
Yeah.
The fact that it's shorter than Raw.
Definitely.
And I think that is really why it's more condensed. It's also because they're having to give it a big push because it's on the Thursday at the moment, and the whole move, they're putting all the good stars on there and putting good matches on there, and the storylines are continuing now. A lot of people had actually, I know this is true for me. I'm not sure if it's true for everyone, but once they did the brand division, you picked which one you wanted to watch, whether it was Raw or SmackDown, and most of us went to Raw, obviously. So I know that they brought it back now where it's the same roster on both, but I've never really got back into that whole, Raw's finished, I wonder what's going to happen on SmackDown, which is used to be
absolutely
back in the Attitude Era. I still think nothing significant is going to happen on SmackDown. I don't really mind if I miss it on a Friday night. I'll catch up on the results somewhere, highlights.
eWrestling
News.
Yeah.
No spoilers, of course. But, do you know what I mean? But now I'm starting to feel like, actually, if I watch Raw on a Monday, then I have to watch SmackDown because SmackDown is where the more interesting things happening. And now, I think after SmackDown, then I'm wondering if I need to watch Raw, which is good because it means SmackDown is leaving us with a good taste. And this is what's been missing.
Yeah.
This is what's been missing.
And there's not a big difference in the ratings that they're pulling at the moment as well. A very impressive rating for SmackDown on Thursday compared to Monday Night Raw. Now, I completely agree with you. The fact that it's a shorter show, it's 2 hours long, which means everything is happening at a quicker pace. There's less filler. There's none of these terrible, long, droning promos.
So I've got a question to ask.
Yeah.
This is important.
Yeah.
Why isn't SmackDown live?
Because it's expensive to hold it live. I believe it's easier for them to tape it on a Tuesday. Plus, they can control more elements of the show if it is taped. So they frequently, redo matches, restart matches, film things, retape things. It becomes more like a TV production in the sense that they can control everything.
I think that's what's been missing from SmackDown all these years.
The live element.
Yeah, the live element. And I think it really suffers. I know occasionally they have done a live SmackDown.
Yeah.
I know.
Nobody watches that.
Yeah, but this is the thing. I think if it goes live, the spontaneity is back, the crowd interaction becomes more real, the energy increases, and the performances will improve. And that gets all the audiences on TV hooked to it as well, because if you know that anything could happen, then you kind of have to tune in, and it's not a soft show.
I guess so.
Very much, and the fact that it's controlled and contrived,
and
it's just more, I don't know, child friendly.
Well, I guess it's the logistics of it. I guess are tricky because WWE now has a very good structure in terms of the way they run their house shows, their live events.
But I disagree with this, because it can't be a good structure if your results are out 3 days or 2 days before.
Yeah, now in the internet generation,
in the internet era, it can never be a good thing, and that's really where SmackDown loses a lot of its views, because
people know what's going to happen.
Yeah, people know what's going to happen, and they're not too bothered to tune in live.
Well, maybe that's something they'll explore. They'll maybe start doing it more and more live. I just don't think that's in the that's one of the main priorities right now. But if we break down the show again, one of the reasons I think it succeeds, in addition to the time difference between Raw, is because they don't have those long. When I watch Raw now, I expect somebody's music to hit at the very start of the show, and there's going to be a 20-minute promo. I just know that's going to happen now, and I've not been wrong for the last 50 episodes of Raw, especially when the Authority are around. Now the big stars usually, as you say, take off SmackDown, so you won't usually see John Cena or Triple H or Stephanie McMahon. You won't see those big recurring figures of Monday Night Raw on SmackDown, which gives SmackDown a fresher feel. There was a really, really good promo on a talking segment on SmackDown this week between Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman. And it was so intense. It was so different. It was beautifully shot as well. The visuals on it were superb. That's the kind of talking segment I can get into. What do you think of that segment?
Well, I watched that segment, and I've got to disagree with you to an extent. I mean, I found it interesting enough and better than most things that I see on Raw, so I'm not disputing that. But just as a segment in itself, I don't want to compromise on quality here. We should not have a heel versus heel dynamic going into Rumble, because it's really putting one or the other two in a position where I'm starting to sympathise with one or the other, or prefer one or the other, and they're both mega strong heels.
Well, are you really? I mean, who are you sympathising with coming out of that situation? I'm not sympathising with either.
Well, it's not that I'm sympathising, but the fact is that Rollins is good on the mic, but Heyman is like
on a different level,
on a completely different level. I don't want to see, and at one moment during that interaction between Rollins, I mean, he basically became robotic, and you stopped listening to what Rollins was saying, and you were just wondering what Heyman's going to come out with. You kind of are hooked on every single word. And even if you look at the audience, which is a massive thing, right? In a massive stadium with thousands of people, every single eye in the back is just focused on Heyman as he's delivering. And I think that difference in quality, it's not just about a heel versus heel dynamic. It's about, who is the stronger heel.
Who's a better actor in many ways.
Right. And as a result, I think Rollins should not be being outshined by not the actual person is going to be fine, by his manager.
But this shows that they have a lot of faith in Rollins, that they're putting them in there to verbally joust with Heyman.
Or it's SmackDown, so they're preparing him, and they probably wouldn't do that on Raw that often. I mean, I know they had a little bit of an interaction last week on Raw. I mean, look, again, Rollins is great, Heyman is great. I just don't want to see that intensity between two heels. It doesn't work for me.
Unless maybe they've got a face turn for one of them planned in the future. Who knows?
Well,
I don't see it.
That would be
happen.
disappointing, because they're both really good heels.
Absolutely.
I think Brock probably has a face turn in him. He's almost a face in any case if you think about it, which is why they put Heyman there, because people want to get involved in booing.
Well, the hardcore fan wants to cheer Brock Lesnar because we know he's a legitimate tough guy.
Exactly.
He can take anybody out he wants to. I mean, that was a cool segment. How did you feel about the opening match between Daniel Bryan and Kane, which evolved into a 6-man tag later in the show?
Well, I think it's good that Bryan's back. He's moving a little bit slow, which is to be expected in his first match back. I feel like he's also not as physically fit. I mean, his body does not seem like it's.
He nailed all his spots.
He did, but his physique is not looking tight. It's not looking.
Did it ever really look tight?
No, but I think it's looking worse than it was before. And that will improve as he gets into the schedule.
I don't know, man. I was looking at, when they had that thing where he walked back up the ramp, and then either side of him he had Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns.
Yes.
He didn't look out of place. He didn't look smaller significantly. it's the gravitas of the man is so big now that he can stand with two significantly larger wrestlers and not look like he's out of his depth.
I think you're reading too much into that. I personally didn't care for that. I was actually much more excited when I saw Ambrose and Reigns come out, even though I've been critical of both Ambrose and Reigns previously. I think Daniel Bryan, I mentioned to you when we watched it, that I don't think that the crowd are as interactive as they have been, which is again natural because he's had such a long break.
You're subjective, man.
I don't think I'm subjective. If you see the response he was getting before he got injured, clearly he was at a peak.
Yeah, but this is different. So they've just had a DQ finish to a match to open the show.
Agreed. But you know, I've seen Bryan do special things with the crowd before, regardless of what the situation is.
But yeah, I don't doubt that he will again. I mean, the way he's being positioned right now, there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that he's going to feature in the headline match of WrestleMania. Just because Roman Reigns, I mean, those final spots leading to the finish of the match. The crucial thing is the pin was scored by Daniel Bryan on Kane. Roman Reigns gave one of the ugliest looking spears in the history of spears to the Big Show over the announce table, which again didn't collapse.
Which is also like 7 minutes before the end of the match.
So they were just rolling.
What the hell were they doing? I never buy into those kind of 7-man tags, 8-man tags.
It was a Teddy Long favorite.
Everyone just sort of disappears. And was the table meant to break? Probably not, because it's SmackDown. But it would have been nice if it did.
Or just something that looked more convincing. It looked so soft. I mean, part of it is because the Big Show isn't super mobile, but they've managed to disguise that really well over the last several years. But Reigns is just looking weaker and weaker on television, and that worries me for his future. But it makes me more excited about the fact that we're more and more likely to see Bryan in the main event.
At the moment, you're right. It looks like it might be a Big Show versus Reigns match at WrestleMania.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
that's a big step down for Reigns.
But you can see that as a potential build-up.
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely see that. I definitely think at this point, and this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but Reigns' salvation is in a heel turn right now. If he turns heel and gets himself a mouthpiece, and you suggested Paul Heyman not too long ago, maybe in the run-up to WrestleMania, maybe if he starts begrudging one of the big stars, I'm thinking John Cena, by the way, his success, his heel turn will not. It could work two ways. In one case, it could give John Cena his face heat back. It could put more heel heat on Reigns, and even if it doesn't, Reigns as a heel will get that cool guy factor back, you'd hope.
Do you know what? I don't disagree with you, but I've got a really big thing that I want to see. I want to see what happened with Austin back at all those years ago at Mania. I'd actually like to see Daniel Bryan do a heel turn at Mania.
I don't know, man. I think the audience might reject it. Kind of like, if you remember when Austin turned heel on The Rock at WrestleMania with Vince McMahon, the fans continued to cheer Austin, and they kept going on and on. It's difficult to hate somebody who's that likable.
I would love to see that. I would love to see that. I actually think that would make Bryan come out a lot more, because I feel that his promos have never been on par with his ability in the ring.
His promos fit his character.
Well, yeah,
because he was never the strongest promo, but he's worked hard to get to the point.
They had that 2-week turn when he went to the Wyatt family. I remember his previous.
Yeah, but that was like almost like in protest, and then when he switched back to face, that in the steel cage, that was a thunderous response.
It was, and I think you could get a thunderous response as a heel turn as well, potentially, which is going to give another layer to his character, and I think that I would find him a lot more interesting for me. I've been very honest and open. I'm a fan of his in-ring work, but I feel that there's a hell of a lot more that they can do with his character, and it's just more or less. I've been watching him, and I remember going 3 years ago to the Raw Live at the O2 in the UK, and more or less he's doing exactly what he was doing then still. So I'm actually genuinely bored of what his character is. I'm just excited.
He's been off TV for like 8 months.
Yeah, but he's had a strong presence all the way through. Whether they've done it as a storyline through his wife or whatever kind of thing. Like, look, he's a massive star. He's massively over. But I want to make him a little bit more interesting, engaging. And at the moment, I just feel that things might start to get stale for him. And actually, we have started to see fans not give him the same response, even once he won the belt.
I'm going to tell you that. I think that's you and your opinion, and that's valid to you.
We'll put it out to
the absolutely. Let's do that. Tweet us at PlayByPlay123. What do you guys think?
Do you think Daniel Bryan is as over as he was last year?
Fair enough.
It's as simple as that.
That's fair enough.
I think he isn't. I don't think he's getting the crowd reactions. I don't think his gimmick is as fresh anymore. And I think we've seen him do his chase. We've seen him climb the mountain. Now we need something else.
I don't know. I think I'd like to see him slay the giant, which is the next step, which is what he could do potentially with Brock Lesnar. But anyway, we could go on and on and on. Let's talk about any other thoughts on SmackDown. There's a few other things happening. Wade Barrett got a clean win. Sorry, bad news, Barrett now. got a clean win over Sin Cara. I'm a little bit disappointed Wade, Bad News Barrett hasn't engaged with us on our SummerSlam to Wembley campaign.
Well, he will. He's a bit busy because he's been wrestling.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a good little excuse, but I'm sure in the next few days we're going to see some interaction on the social media.
Last thing on SmackDown I want to really ask you about is Miz and Mizdow. I'm getting bored of watching their matches with the Usos, but I never fast forward through them because I'm really enjoying the work of Mizdow. What do you think of that?
Clearly you're not watching it live, otherwise you wouldn't be able to fast forward. Anyways, the point...
Well, it's not on live.
Well,
DVR, man.
Well, yeah, that's the way to go. So, I've got a point to make. I think I'm probably the only one who genuinely actually enjoys watching the interaction between Miz and Mizdow. And most people I know do like Mizdow. He's clearly over. I generally like what the Miz is doing because he's being the damn irritating prat that he's always come across.
Oh yeah.
And it works for me.
Yeah.
And I think he deserves a push. And I think the more irritating he is, the better of a heel he becomes. I don't think he should ever be a face ever again.
I don't know. It's weird though.
Tried it with him.
They keep putting him in those Marine movies, right? He's got a fourth one coming out this year. How do you promote a straight to DVD movie to your fan base with a heel starring in it? An irritating heel at that.
Yeah, he's I mean, his gimmick is damn irritating, and the problem is that a lot of us fans see right through it. We don't even consider it a gimmick because we genuinely feel that is what this guy is.
He's annoying.
Like. You're right. But let's talk about Mizdow because this guy is a superstar. He keeps getting a bad gimmick after bad gimmick, and he keeps making them work. And this is what I was saying even yesterday. We made the point in yesterday's podcast. You said, Vince is writing the promos. It's time for him to retire. Roman Reigns can't get, nursery.
I didn't say it's time for him to retire. I think it's time for him to scale down. But anyway, yeah, go on.
But I made the point that you've got to take the responsibility as a performer sometimes because you're not always going to get perfect gimmicks, perfect scripts, perfect promos.
Yeah.
And this guy, Mizdow, he's a really good in-ring performer as well. Let's not forget.
And he's great on the mic, which he doesn't get to do anymore.
He's great on the mic. I suppose he's likely to be a little bit injured, which is why he isn't wrestling as much.
I don't know. I mean, there was a time where he had the Money in the Bank briefcase and he was wrestling John Cena for the championship on Monday Night Raw in a heated 20-minute match.
Yeah.
And he lost, and that was it. It was all downhill for him from there. And as you say, they lumbered him with this awkward gimmick. But he's making it work. And I remember seeing him live in London, actually, when WWE came earlier this year. Towards the end of last year, I should say. And he was so over with the crowd. This is just a live event. It's not a TV show, but he's so over with the crowd. It was incredible.
No. He is over. People enjoy his interaction. It's a bit like I don't know. It's almost the disappointing thing is I'm losing a little bit of heat for him, right? Because the comedy, which I don't enjoy, he's actually doing really well.
Yeah.
But I actually feel that him as a heel, I could have taken seriously, but now he's starting to go into that Santino kind of like
this is the
area.
thing. How far can he go in a mid-card comedy role? As you say, they're now teasing a breakup between them because it's been twice in a row, Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, where he took a finisher.
The reason I don't like that is because when they do that,
he's going to be the face.
He's going to be a face, and I don't want to see him as the face. Because
he's popular.
Unless they make the Miz the face, which they almost certainly can't after this
you know what?
character.
Do you remember when Kurt Angle was a heel, but he was still cheered by fans, and then he was a face who berated the fans? And he even did that promo where he said all these racist things in a promo, but the fans still cheered him. I'd like Mizdow to evolve into that kind of face.
Well, Kurt Angle is a legend.
I don't mean to put Mizdow in that bracket, but what I'm saying is I'd like that style of push for him. Anyway, so that was SmackDown. Let's talk a little bit more about finishing moves because we spent a lot of time talking about that. Now, you and I both had this gripe. Now, we were watching that Wade Barrett match on SmackDown where he took out Sin Cara with a bull hammer as Sin Cara flew off the middle rope, right? And it just looked like another punch to me. So now we've got the knockout punch by the Big Show, the Superman punch by Roman Reigns, and the bull hammer from Wade Barrett. Am I missing any other punches?
Well, there's been quite a few, and I just feel there's 2-3 things here, and I've said the other thing I've said is the super kick, which Shawn Michaels made famous as Sweet Chin Music, is also being used a lot. Now, there's 2 things I want to say.
Transition move.
Yeah, and I think that's a power move. It's an iconic move for WWE superstars because we've seen it used as a very powerful move, and people using it in mid-matches for a good spot, I think is disappointing because it's quite a powerful storytelling move. So I genuinely believe that the finishers and finishing moves need to evolve and become a lot more differentiated for the superstars in their characters. I feel like a hell of a lot of people are doing similar moves that aren't very unique.
And yeah, and I don't like the punch. I mean, Reigns has sort of got the Superman punch over, which is fine. And the WWE have already sold the knockout punch. I've got it to Big Show's credit. He executes it brilliantly. It looks like he's actually punching someone in the face without pulling it. And, you know, they even do this weird thing on WWE programs where they give you a replay where they do it in slow motion and speed it up at the last second just to overcome that blow. But, yeah, I mean, they all do it well, but there's too much monotony, as you say, in the finishing moves. I miss the era of exciting submission moves, the weird high-flying moves. Now, if we talk about Wrestle Kingdom 9, we had Tanahashi in the main event against Okada. His finishing move, it's not something that you've never seen before. I've seen it a billion times before. So many wrestlers have been doing it.
What about his dropkick?
Oh, that was Okada's dropkick. It's superb. Yeah. See, this is it. Just taking a simple move and building something around it. That's an actual wrestling move. A dropkick is a wrestling move. A flying, swirling crossbody. What's the high fly flow? High fly flow. I think it's a really strong.
No, I agree with you. I just think that what we need is to have really differentiated. You know, different submission moves. They're too similar. I just feel the slams are all similar, the punches are all similar, the kicks are all similar. I just want a little bit more differentiation.
Okay, well, fair enough. I'm going to throw that out again to our listeners, okay? What are your favorite finishing moves on television at the moment? Which moves do you think are a little bit boring? Remember, you can always contact us on Twitter at PlayByPlay123. You can also email us questions at playbyplay123.co.uk. And we also have a Facebook page, Play by Play Wrestling. So it's facebook.com/playbyplaywrestling. So you can hit us up on that as well. And of course, we're on ewrestlingnews.com. So you can find us there, leave a comment, and we'll always check it out. Right, we're running out of time a little bit. So a quick note on Divas, very, very quick note on Divas. We're not unlike Monday Night Raw, which always allocates them about 2 minutes on a 3-hour show. Your favorite Diva, Arman, quickly.
Paige.
Yeah, I'm going to find it hard to disagree with you, to be honest. Paige has got the best theme music. She's got a dynamic style. She's likable. She's got a different look about her.
And she's from the UK.
And she's UK, so we've got to give her the UK love.
I think she's doing a really good job. She's keeping things engaging. The Divas division can be a little bit of a break from the main sort of matches sometimes. But I feel that when she's on, actually, I'd rather watch her than the Ascension matches at the moment.
Oh, yeah, of course. You don't watch Total Divas, did you?
I didn't watch Total Divas.
The Paige is on it now, and so is Alicia
Maybe
Fox.
I should start watching now.
Yeah, Paige is on it. Alicia Fox is on it as well. Alicia Fox, the more you get to know her character, the more likable she becomes. Alicia Fox is becoming one of my favorites now. She's featuring in some of these matches on Raw and SmackDown, so it's good to see her getting somewhere after so many years in the business. I know she held like the women's or the Divas title at some point, but it feels like a million years ago. Anyway, sadly, we're coming towards the end of our podcast. We've got to give you the answer to yesterday's Dean Douglas Award, which is who was number 25 in which Royal Rumble was it?
Well, we didn't actually get a correct answer.
We didn't. I was going to say.
So what I'm going to do is a rollover.
You want to roll over?
I'm going to do a rollover for tomorrow's show.
Monday show.
Monday show, of course. And we're going to see if we can get the correct answer. Because I knew if you get a non-traditional question in, we're not going to get these people.
Well, some people, we had some shouts, but they were all wrong.
Well,
they were all wrong. And it was interesting. Just remind us the year. It was
1998.
1998. Who was number 25? Number 25 entered in the 1998 Royal Rumble. Get that question in to win yourself a rollover Dean Douglas Award. Match of the day today. Do you want me to do it?
Well, I'll let you do it.
Okay, fair enough. No, it's okay. I've got a whole bunch of matches I'm talking about these days.
You go for the match.
Yeah, fantastic. And as you know, yesterday we launched our SummerSlam to Wembley campaign. Use the hashtag SummerSlam to Wembley and get it out there to all your friends, all your networks, because we've got a real chance of bringing SummerSlam back to the UK, specifically to Wembley Stadium. Come on, WWE, smell the money. 90,000 passionate fans.
I'd also
a favorable exchange rate.
There was a lot of people that interacted with us, that have retweeted us, that are starting to get behind the campaign, that believe in it. We are gathering momentum, guys. We're gonna keep on going to Wembley. We're going to go and we're going to protest and we're going to try and get this event to come to London. So thank you to everybody that interacted with us. Keep pushing it out. SummerSlam to Wembley. That's the conversation.
Absolutely. Now, and since we're talking about SummerSlam, I'm going to give you one more full match of the day from SummerSlam. This time it's from 1997. Now, if you're a regular listener of Play by Play, the Daily Wrestling Podcast, you'll know that myself and Arman, we both have a special place in our hearts for Bret the Hitman Hart. And I think one of his finest hours was as a heel in 1997 when he faced The Undertaker in New Jersey at the Continental Airlines Arena for the WWE, or at the time WWF Championship. It's a fantastic match. It's a long match. It's all about storytelling, amazing spots, crowd interaction. It's superb. So Bret the Hitman Hart versus The Undertaker, SummerSlam 1997 is today's match of the day.
With Shawn Michaels as the guest referee.
Absolutely. There's another factor. There's Shawn Michaels as
and
guest
that was
referee.
the last main pay-per-view before Montreal, of course.
That's right. That was the last big show before Survivor Series. There were a few In Your Houses in there, but yeah, they were never given that kind of credence. So that is everything for today. Well, guys and girls, thank you so much for joining us today on Play by Play, the daily wrestling podcast. Thank you to everybody that's been tweeting us. We get so many people tweeting us now that it's impossible to mention them all. But thank you. Just keep the love coming in. Keep your comments coming in, because we're happy to talk about it every weekday that we go online. So thanks again, everybody. This has been Play by Play, the daily wrestling podcast. Episode 9 is a wrap. Goodbye from me, Arman.
This podcast is the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.